Good morning, YouTubers. T-Square here with T-Square Talk. Hope everybody's having a great day. Got a great video I kind of want to talk about today. Today, I want to talk a little bit. We talked briefly. We did a video the other day about getting rid of the penny. You can actually see that video right here. Say goodbye to the penny. Today, I want to talk a little bit about what this actually means and what's going on, and have we seen something like this happen before? I have this belief that in the 70s, they knew in 64 that inflation was going to get really bad. Things were going to start to escalate, and it did. And that's why they originally took out the silver in 64 out of the silver coins, out of the quarters, the dimes, the halves. And a lot of people were laughed at that were saving silver. And it's kind of funny. This video idea came up because I was actually talking to a friend that he said, dude, I ain't gonna lie to you, you're right about the 2017 pennies, but I don't understand why anybody would really want to buy pennies today. And so I went into it, and he goes, you could be right. We'll see what happens. And I kind of want to talk a little bit more about that today, where I think the penny is going to go. What does the government know already? The direction that the dollar's going, the direction the economy is going, and why are they starting to really prepare for it and crack down on it? So I hope you guys enjoy the video. If you do, a special thank you to all the members. And if you do enjoy the video, please take a quick minute, hit that thumbs up button. It really helps me out more than you know. Before we do jump into the topic for the day, I like to go over the prices, see where everything's at. Bitcoin did take a bit of a hit today, so definitely people might be interested in what Bitcoin is currently trading at. And with that being said, let's get started. So the first thing I always like to do is take a look at the silver price. Silver trading right now at $33.11. Pretty well just trading sideways for a while now. As you can see, pretty much sideways in the last 5 days, pretty much sideways in the last month. And 3 months, pretty much sideways in the last 3 months. That's not a bad thing in my personal opinion. I think it's great that it's holding that $33 range, especially since we've seen it down to, $29, $28. Not much before that. So we can see it climbing still on a slower pace, more sideways in the last 3 months. But that's okay, because I think the big jump is going to come pretty soon. And for those of you guys that are naysayers, the big jump does not mean, we're going to see $500 silver tomorrow. No, I just think we'll see a breakthrough in this $30 range, this $33 time, and we'll probably pop through that $35 range sometimes in the next couple months. I do think we're in the summer now, so, someone's going to correct me. We're not technically summer. But as we are going into summer, usually we do see a lot of sideways trading. Usually we see huge pullbacks on precious metals in the summer. We're not seeing that right now, which is pretty interesting because we should have already started to see the beat down happening, and we haven't seen that. I do also expect a big pullback, or I should say a good pullback, about the end of next month sometime as we do close out the second financial quarter. So I'm curious to see how that's going to play out right around 625, 626, 627. We also have a Fed meeting next month, which, usually when that happens, that helps push silver and gold down a little bit because they strengthen the dollar to make the dollar look like a good investment. I still don't see them being able to raise interest rates. I don't think they're going to cut it either because they're kind of in between a rock and a hard place right now. If they cut interest rates, then essentially we're going to have inflation start ramping up. And I think they know inflation is coming no matter what. And that's why we've got the tariffs on the table. However, we've also got the postponement, a temporary 90-day delay on them. And a lot of people are losing interest in gold and silver right now because it's trading sideways. Personally, I just think that's a good opportunity because this is a time period where it should be getting beat down. However, I personally am not going to be putting an order in probably for the next few weeks, as I do want to be ready at the end of this new month. So roughly 21 days, I want to be ready with a nice little chunk of money to buy a quick dip, I'm going to call it, in the middle of the night. What I think will happen is we'll see a good drop in the middle of the night, a couple nights in a row, and then all of a sudden we'll just see kind of a really good drop. And it would be really nice to see us get down to $29, because ultimately, if we see that happen at the end of the month, that $29, I expect we'll see a quick pop right back up to the $33 range. And what I'm hoping is that $29 opportunity with about a $3 premium could mean you might be able to pick up some stuff pretty much for, 31, 32, maybe $33. Right now, if you try to buy, you're going to be lucky if you can get anything in the $35, $36 range, because by the time you factor in premiums and stuff, there's not really a lot of room. So we'll see how that plays out. Jumping in real quick on gold, we got gold currently trading at $32.92. Still right around, hovering around that 100-to-1 ratio. Doing a good job holding its own. I do think when we do see silver really start to pop again, I think that we'll see that ratio come down. So I think the opportunity for that, like I said, is going to be in a few months. However, this next month coming up, I expect that we could see that gold-silver ratio possibly even go up again to maybe that 105 level, roughly 105-to-1, but we'll see how that plays out. Taking a quick look at Bitcoin, as of right now, we got Bitcoin trading. I had to refresh it because it was actually in the 104s, and I had a hunch it would just kind of do a little pop before it maybe sinks down again. We got Bitcoin trading right now at $105,034. We'll say $105,000. It's showing it being down 624 points for the day. However, you look at when that is, they show it at, well, right now they're showing it at, I guess last night. So pretty much 24 hours, because we're at 3 a.m. right now. So why is that showing it like that, though? Hold on here. Almost like it ain't quite refreshing, but it is. Just looks weird. So with that being said, down a little bit. We've seen it get up to 110. It's still too soon to tell if this is going to be a major pullback coming or not. There's a lot of media right now talking about Bitcoin and new companies starting to adopt it as a payment method. And there's also a lot of media talking about a big pullback that could be coming in the price of Bitcoin. Taking a quick look at the DXY, I like to show this every day because I think this is a good reflection on how people perceive the U.S. dollar. The perception of the U.S. dollar right now, we're sitting at 99.51. Not as low as we've been, not as high as we've been. So kind of just going sideways right now. Like I said, with the Fed meeting coming, they're going to want to pump this up before the Fed meeting to make it look stronger. If this goes up, then we will probably see gold and silver come down in price a little bit. I always like to show the U.S. debt clock because I think it's, I don't want to say exciting, but it kind of is to me. We're about ready to hit $37 trillion, probably in the next 3 weeks, in my opinion. One thing that I did not factor in that I should have thought about earlier on, we were going up approximately $5 billion a day between the filming of this video. As you can see from yesterday, though, we actually went up $7 billion. And the reason that's important to note is because we're seeing essentially an escalation in the increase. And what I mean by that is, if you do 2%, a 2% rise on something or profit on something that costs $100, well, that's only essentially $2. If you do a 2% increase on something that is, we'll say 100 and we'll say even 200, now it's essentially a $4 increase. And why that's important, in my opinion, is because as this number gets bigger and bigger, you're going to see it go up faster and faster. And That's why some people are predicting astronomical amounts of increase in this if they don't put this in check over the next 4 years. Will they? I don't think there's any hope for putting this debt in check. I think we're going to just continue to see it go higher and higher until something major happens. Either we see them try to inflate it away, or we see them default on it. And I think it's inevitable that we're going to basically inflate it away. That's usually the road that people like to go down because you always can point the blame at somebody else. The average American does not really understand what causes inflation. You know, the overprinting of money or fiat dollars, fiat currency, that's what drives inflation to newer and higher highs. And I think that they know, like I said in this video, I wanted to talk about this. I think they knew in that we were going to experience heavy inflation in the 70s. And so that's why they started pulling the silver in the 64. They were looking for ways to kind of cut inflation. And I think right now they're looking for ways to kind of fight the inflation. And that's why they're getting rid of the penny. There's a possibility they'll be either changing or getting rid of the nickels. I find it interesting because I actually went to a bank today and they were telling me how there's been a couple customers that have been coming in and buying nickels every day. Not so much pennies, but nickels. Now, I found that interesting because we've talked about nickels on this channel numerous times. I think it's inevitable that they're cutting the penny. They've already announced it. And once they cut it, I expect that they'll probably start asking banks to turn them in. And that will cause essentially a shortage on coins. We've already experienced the coin shortage during the whole cough. And I expect as that coin shortage happens, companies will start essentially asking people to turn in their change they got at home. And if that happens, then I think it's inevitable that it will work its way back up to the Fed. And then it just won't come out again. They will start stockpiling it. And eventually they're going to have all the pennies to separate the copper, the zinc. And, you know, I mean, some people don't understand the value of copper pennies. But the thing you got to understand is it takes $1.41 in copper pennies to equal a pound of copper. With a pound of copper right now going for approximately $4.30, I think that we could end up seeing, as soon as they say, okay, the penny is no longer legal tender, you know, and that's it, we're going to discontinue them. I would not be surprised to see a lot of pennies start getting turned into scrap metal. It may not happen right off. It could take a little while, but I think we're going to start seeing the signs of it coming sooner than people think. And I think they know inflation's going to get worse, and they're grasping at straws to try to find ways to fight the inflation, to kind of beat back the inflation, try to beat back the debt a little bit. That's kind of was the whole purpose of the Doge team, to try to cut essentially spending. However, I don't think it's doable. I hate to say that. A lot of stuff they're trying to cut, they're looking for fraud, waste, and abuse, but at the end of the day, it's hard to cut stuff. A lot of people think that these cuts that they've already found have been implemented. They have not been implemented yet. They're looking for ways to cut spending. Now, have they probably cut a few things? There's a possibility they probably cut some stuff, but ultimately it's going to take time. And in the meantime, the debt is continuing to climb, and we really do run a risk of people not wanting our bonds. And if they don't want our debt, then essentially governments are going to be in the hurt. They're going to be in a hard position, and I think that could filter out to a lot of us, because if they're having a hard time, we're probably going to be having a hard time. And so I think it's a good opportunity right now to pick up some copper pennies. Don't go buy. I actually talked to one friend. She was in, I don't remember if it was called Pennies, Texas, or some area where it was a bunch of thrift stores and stuff, and she's seen a bunch of copper 1-ounce copper bars, and she sent me pictures of different stuff that she had seen. She said she bought the copper bars because she didn't have any. She goes, I had some silver, I had some gold, but I didn't have any copper bars, so I decided just to buy them. They were $2 a piece. I said, I won't say you went wrong, but copper is copper at the end of the day. You want copper, collect copper pennies. Then you got no premium at all into it. Would you rather have an ounce of copper for $2, or would you rather have a pound of copper for $1.41? So there's a lot of opportunity out there if you're looking for it, but not everybody sees it. And a lot of people care too much what other people think to essentially to do anything to make themselves in a better position. One of the funny things that I've noticed as I have been out and about collecting pennies, I've actually had a lot of the tellers that kind of find it interesting, coin collecting. They've been asking me a lot of questions. It's a great way to break the ice, talk to people about coin collecting, talk to people. And I personally like to find out what's going on from their notes, from their side, what they're seeing. I had one lady explain that essentially somehow people are making money off these nickels. That's why they're buying boxes and boxes of nickels. Now, personally, I don't think you can actually make money off of buying nickels and pennies right now, but I think it's more of a design to position yourself to make money off it later by picking up the stuff now. Because, even if you look at any country that's experienced a hyperinflation like Venezuela, Lebanon, copper almost always goes through the roof in that country's currency. And I think it's inevitable that it's going to go through the roof here in the United States too. So the opportunity is there for you to pick it up. Now, if you're like me and you don't have a lot of time in your day, then all you got to do is just pick up a $25 box of pennies and put it up. Now, someone's going to be like, yeah, but what about all those zinc pennies? They serve no value. They serve no purpose. That's not what I'm saying. Just buying a box of pennies, your intent is you can look through it later. If things start getting tough, you can look through it. It's pretty safe to say if you buy a box of pennies, you're going to have, I would say, personally, me, at least 10 or 20% copper in the box. Now, someone can, if you are a penny stacker, I guess you can call it, and you've been stacking copper pennies for a while, let me know, what are you getting out of $1 worth of pennies? If you go to the bank, you get 2 rolls of pennies and you search them, how many coppers do you usually find? My thoughts would be that you'll probably see about 10 to 20%. And so you've got it. You can always use it. And it's not like these pennies, once they cancel them, that you won't be able to take them into the bank. I'm convinced you'll still be able to turn them into the bank because the bank ain't going to care. The bank was going to melt them down for zinc. They're going to melt them down for copper. They're going to get their money back either way. I know tellers in general don't want to really be bothered with the penny thing, but there's opportunity there, and if you're taking advantage of this opportunity, you can do really well with it. So I'm going to wrap the video up here today. It's not a super long video. How long was it? 18 minutes. I thank everybody for watching. I hope this gave you some stuff to think about, because I really do think inflation is going to be starting to ramp up here in the United States. We're seeing gold and silver at higher points in most countries' currency. Even here in the U.S., we're seeing higher highs. We're not seeing an all-time high yet, but I think that will be coming. And if you position yourself now, you're going to do all right with it. So I thank everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please be sure to check out some of these other great videos. And I will see you guys again on T-Square Talk. I hope you all have a great day. And take care. Oh, and the weekend, because we are pretty much at the weekend. So I hope you all have a great weekend too. I haven't been doing videos on the weekend, but who knows what could happen if I get bored or something and get caught up. But I think I got a pretty busy weekend this weekend, so probably won't see you again until Monday. So I hope you all have a great day. I thank you all for watching, and take care, everybody. Thank you. Have a great one. Bye-bye. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button.